because no one was supposed to see them. Number 1. Long-lost camera reveal uncontacted tribes and strange animals. Humans have always loved to explore, and sometimes they go into the jungle. If they are lucky enough, they might come across uncontacted tribes. Recently, some photographs of such an uncontacted tribe hit the internet, causing a sensation. Not only did the photos contain uncontacted tribes, but it was also full of strange animals, some of which have never been seen before, and many strange objects that proved the sophistication of an ancient civilization. Interestingly, these photos matched those associated with a British explorer named Percy Fawcett, who went on an expedition in the Amazon rainforest with his son early in the 20th century but never returned. Fawcett went in search of the lost city of Z. His disappearance has never been solved. Has Fawcett's camera been finally found? The incredible images have been used as proof that Fawcett succeeded in his mission. Many of the carvings shown in the photos do not look like anything we have found elsewhere, suggesting it was a very isolated group of people with limited or no contact with the outside world. There is a native with deep-set eyes staring at the camera in such a way that it suggests he is aware that he is being photographed. Hairs cover most of his body, making his appearance very remarkable. Other humans are shown in the pictures, but observers say that they could simply be decorations by the tribe. But perhaps more shocking is the structure that looks like a temple built to resemble a modern spaceship. In fact, it has an uncanny resemblance to the iconic space shuttle rocket. Are aliens involved? As for Fawcett, several suggestions have been made as to how he came to his end, including dying of diseases and being killed and eaten by the local tribes. However, he documented coming across strange animals, including snakes measuring 62 feet in length and 12 inches in diameter. While Fawcett's findings have been doubted by some scientists, some of the animals have reported seeing have been eventually discovered. This included the double-nosed Andean tiger hound, an extremely rare breed of dog that turned out to be real. Number 2. The plant that can kill you or cure you. Many people let the inner kid in them take over in a jungle by exploring the various plants. However, there are particular plants in South America you would want to give a wide berth because it can kill you. Interestingly, the same plant can do the exact opposite, given the right circumstances. When the Spanish conquistadors began exploring, or more accurately, conquering South America, they encountered something terrifying: poison arrows. According to M.R. Lee, Emeritus Professor of Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics at the University of Edinburgh, explorers returning to Europe in the 16th century described arrows that paralyzed first, then killed their target. It took around 200 years for European invaders to realize the native peoples were making a paste from a plant known as curare and applying it to their arrows, and even then, European explorers weren't able to identify the plant until the 1800s. For a while, it was just poison, but if it was poison, it wouldn't be such an exciting find, would it? Now fast forward to the 20th century, and an explorer and his neurologist began searching for a cure of neurological condition he developed after a horseback riding accident in the Amazon. Among the secret indigenous peoples revealed to him were various recipes for making curare poison, which 2 Canadian anesthesiasts realized could be used for a different purpose. General anesthesia was still being used for invasive surgeries in 1942. Injecting the proper curare preparation served as a super-localized muscle relaxant, altering the ways surgeries were performed. Curare went from poison to lifesaver in 400 years. Number 3. Batman statue of a pre-Hispanic god. Many things we believed originated recently are actually copies of much older sources. Throughout history, there is ample evidence of such cases. But did you know that the ancient Maya worshipped a god with a human body and a bat's head thousands of years ago? The creature had pointy ears and was known as Camazotz by the ancient Maya. Surprisingly, the description sounds suspiciously similar to a character most of us are familiar with from movies, television shows, and comic strips. You guessed correctly, Batman's ancestors can be traced back to a long-lost civilization in modern-day Mexico. Camazotz, a mysterious pre-Hispanic deity who symbolized night, death, and sacrifice, existed before DC Comics invented Batman. He was well liked by the ancient Maya, and his description is strikingly similar to that of our modern-day Batman. Camazotz, also known as Camazot, is a minor Mayan mythological figure. The Mayan god is known as the murderous bat god. Camazotz's representations can be found in the Copan Museum in Honduras, though descriptions of him can also be found in a few Mayan codices. The ancient god was known as a master of mysteries, life and death. In fact, Camazotz comes from 2 ancient Maya words, kame, which means death, and Satz, which translates as bat. Camazotz worship is thought to have begun around 200 BC among the Zapotecs of Mexico, who worshipped the anthropomorphic monster with the body of man and the body of a bat. The bat was associated with night, death, and sacrifice. Yikes. Number 4. The Lost City of the Monkey God. This might sound like the title of a B-grade Chinese martial art flick, but it is real. It is another shocking discovery from North America. Archaeologists have been hearing rumors of this city in Honduras' jungle for years. It was sometimes referred to as La Ciudad Blanca, or the White City, and other times as the Lost City of the Monkey God. A few years ago, however, the city transformed from myth to reality. Legend has it that the city was founded by indigenous people fleeing the relentless conquest and slaughter brought by the Spanish conquistadors. Expeditions in the early 20th century returned only rumors, and it wasn't until the 21st century that a new technology called LiDAR, or light detection and ranging, arrived on the scene. Scanning revealed an extensive city hidden in the jungle, and archaeologists finally hacked their way through the trees to find the long-abandoned ancient city. What they discovered was astounding: perfectly preserved and untouched stone structures, pyramids and carvings, vessels and jars, thrones and tables. Archaeological investigation has been slow, but the site has yielded some results. The untouched paradise was discovered to be home to a number of endangered plants, birds, insects, and reptiles, and Conservation International described it as a refuge for threatened species. Oh, and Douglas Preston, who was part of the first expedition, revealed what else they discovered: a flesh-eating disease that rots off a person's nose and lips first. And yes, the explorers all came home with this disease. So maybe leave that to the professionals. Number 5. The Strawberry Milkshake Lake. Many people love their strawberry milkshakes. It is sweet, plus it has a very pleasing pink color. But imagine looking down at a jungle and seeing a whole wide area covered with this delicious treat. Welcome to Lake Hillier in the Middle Island. Of course, it is not a real milkshake, which would have been disappointing to the explorers. Lake Hillier, located off of Australia's southwest coast of the banks of the Middle Island, is possibly the world's most beautiful lake. The lake is notable for its vibrant pink bubblegum color and must be seen to be believed. It is a 600-meter wide saltwater lake with no affluents, surrounded by sand and dense vegetation dominated by eucalyptus trees. This stunning pink water is separated from the deep blue of the ocean by a single thin strip of earth covered in Melaleuca, an Australian plant. But what gives this picturesque lake its striking pink color? The exact cause of the lake's pink color was never determined, but scientists guess it's due to the presence of the organism Dunaliella salina. These red algae are unusually salt-tolerant, which means they can survive and photosynthesize in conditions that other microorganisms cannot. They produce carotenoid pigments similar to those found in carrots, which produce a red dye during photosynthesis. Other bacteria in the lake may also play a role, and the wacky color is most likely the result of a combination of natural phenomena reacting with the salt. The color remains constant throughout the year, but it appears less vibrant up close than it does from a plane. Even when boiled and taken home, the water retains its distinctive color. Number 6. The Lost Inca Gold. Do you love treasure hunting? Then you will find the story of the lost Inca gold fascinating. Steeped in death, conquest, desire, and mystery, the legend of the lost Inca gold is guarded by remote, mist-veiled mountains in central Ecuador. A fantastic Inca hoard exists somewhere deep within the unforgiving Llanganates mountain range between the Andes and the Amazon, hidden from Spanish conquistadors. The legend begins in the 16th century when the great Inca Empire in western South America was crumbling under the weight of European invaders. After a war with his half-brother, Huáscar, for control of the empire, Atahualpa was captured at his palace in Peru by Spanish commander Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro agreed to release Atahualpa in exchange for a room full of gold, but the Spaniard later broke the agreement. He assassinated the Inca king before the final and largest portion of the ransom was paid. Instead, the gold was buried in a hidden mountain cave, according to legend, and so the legend lives on, daring others to prove it. Valverde is a shadowy guide of those who have tried. He left written directions to its location, the so-called Derrotero de Valverde, when he died. The gold rush died off in the 1850s when the English botanist Richard Spruce traveled to Ecuador in search of the Chinchona tree. When Spruce returned, he reported finding Valverde's guide and a related map created by a man, Antonio Guzman. In 1886, treasure hunter Barth Blake followed Spruce's discovery. He was the last person to discover the gold. He reported thousands of gold and silver pieces waiting to be taken. Blake left, taking only what he could carry, and never returned. According to reports, he disappeared overboard en route to New York, where he planned to raise funds for an expedition to recover his prize. Number 7. The corpse flower. Discovered deep in the jungle, this is a flower you never want gracing your garden. Imagine your garden smelling like you hid a dead body in there. This flower was discovered in the Sumatran rainforests, also known as the corpse flower because of its distinct and revolting aroma. Those who witnessed the flower's rare bloom can confirm that it does in fact smell like a rotting corpse, and there's good reason for it: pollination. The primary pollinators of this type of flower are dung beetles, flesh flies, and other carnivorous insects. These insects usually feed on dead fish. To attract these insects, the corpse's flower's smell and dark burgundy color are designed to resemble a dead animal. Corpse flowers can also heat up to 98 degrees Fahrenheit or 36.7 degrees Celsius to deceive insects. They mistake the flower for food, fly inside, discover there is nothing to eat, and fly away with pollen on their legs. This process ensures that the species continues to pollinate. That is not the only intriguing aspect of corpse flowers. In the wild, they can grow to be 12 feet tall. And here's where another fact comes into play. They're not a single flower. A corpse flower is more like a plant, with a single central spike surrounded by rings of male and female flowers, necessitating pollination. And if you want to see one bloom, you must act quickly. They do not have an annual cycle, and any given flower may not bloom for decades. Once they open, they'll only be open for 24 to 36 hours, which is probably a good thing for nearby creatures with a sense of smell. But there is a sad side note. The destruction of the corpse flower's rainforest habitat has put it in jeopardy. Number 8. The giant leafy master of disguise. One of the shocking scientific discoveries of the last century can actually land on your palm. It is the Malaysian giant leaf insect, and its whimsically convincing camouflage. They look like leaves down to the leaf veins and browning edges. Their deception is so convincing that they sometimes fool themselves. Giant leaf insects, which eat leaves, mistakenly believe they're chomping into a leaf when they're actually biting into their sister. Notice we said sister. Males of this species are extremely scarce, almost non-existent. Thousands of eggs have hatched in the museum's colonies over the last decade, but only 2 of them have been male. Until 1994, there was no evidence of any males of the species. Almost all Phyllium gigantum are females, and those living in colonies, such as the one in the insectarium, are each other's sisters, daughters, and mothers. So how did these insects reproduce? Fair question. Well, there are rare cases in natural parentogenesis, a type of asexual reproduction where a female can lay an unfertilized egg that still produces offspring. This reproductive behavior is seen in snails, lizards, insects, birds, sharks, and snakes. We don't understand how or why asexual reproduction occurs in such a wide range of animals. According to some scientists, it's an evolutionary last resort. However, in the case of the giant leaf insect, it does not appear to be the last resort. It appears to be their primary mode of reproduction. Females produce unfertilized but viable eggs generation after generation. Number 9. The natural cave complete with its own ecosystem in Vietnam. The Son Doong Cave is nearly 9 kilometers long and has a volume of 38.5 million cubic meters, making it the world's largest natural cave. Hang Son Doong is 5 times larger than Deer Cave in Malaysia, which is previously thought to be the largest natural cave with 9.5 million cubic meters of volume. What makes Son Doong unique is the hidden underground world within the cave itself. It has many complex and massive stalactites, over 80 meters high, primeval rainforests growing inside the cave, its own ecosystem, weather, and a mysterious underground river that no explorer has yet discovered all the way to the end. Many visitors have said the Hang Duong Song Cave is like another world, and Ginger Z from ABC News' Good Morning America said the scenery in Son Doong reminded her of the movie Avatar. Within the world's largest cave passage, this amazing cave also houses an impressive ecosystem. The underground river carved out of this massive and intricate cave system, which was filled with formations from the water that percolated down from the rainforest above. Son Doong's collapsed ceiling created a large opening to the outside known as Dolan 1 or skylight. From top to bottom, it is approximately 450 meters tall. This is also the point at which the underground river vanishes.